Today we're gathering around the campfire with Aria, a QHS member whose life is as exciting and grounding as a hike through the mountains. But what trails did she tread to reach these heights? Let's trek into the wilderness and discover the adventures that led Aria to where she is today.
Hello, so my name's Aria, and I have been a part of QHS, I think since last August 23. That's when I really got involved. I have kind of an interesting story. I will start with kind of a little bit of my background, a little bit of my childhood. I was born and raised it was kind of a little bit of a difficult childhood. I really don't remember much of anything before I was 6 years old, even after not a huge amount. My parents are a little bit, they're kind of different personalities. One's a little bit more outgoing than the other. So I kind of had two very drastic experiences of life. They divorced when I was very young. And I have an interesting kind of family line. So I have three older half siblings and then one younger half sibling. And my older siblings are, the oldest is exactly 20 years older than me. So I have kind of an interesting family tree. And when I was 6 years old, I actually, right before I turned 6, I had a grand mal seizure. Kind of went in the room, was like, "Mommy, I feel funny," and then basically went into it. And my mom freaked out. Didn't really know what was going on. And, basically about 9 months later, in September of 97, kind of in between that time, I had some others, but in September of 97, I had a grand mal that lasted 45 minutes. And when that happened, I woke up with no brain trauma, not a single brain injury, no brain trauma, nothing. I literally said, "I want pancakes and ice cream." Just a normal little girl waking up. So, and that was a really fun, experience sometimes to tell people, because the doctor was not the nicest. He was telling my mom that, I wouldn't survive, that I wouldn't wake up, all this stuff. And my mom, being the, very, independent kind of free spirit she is, she was, and protective mama, she kind of told him off. And every nurse in the hospital was like, yes. So it was kind of fun. And I do want to pay a little bit of a tribute to her in this moment right now, because she is one of the main reasons why I'm alive today. She was my rock for a long time. And, she's one of the main reasons why I'm here, that and my true love, Jace. So, we'll get to him later. But he's also amazing. And my mom, she did a really amazing job, keeping me alive, protecting me, and really making sure I was taken care of. So when that happened in the hospital, that was also a near-death experience for me. So I did go to the other side. I did, have an experience over there, which was, really cool. I actually didn't remember that until I think it was last year. I actually remembered the near-death experience for the first time last year. So that was very interesting. How people say it's all white, and yeah, that's real. So it was the hospital room, but everything was white. There were no machines. It was, no knickknacks and stuff. It was really clean, pure. It was very fascinating. So that was a fun experience. I don't really remember, the seizure aspect, obviously, but it's, all experiences are great. They just don't always feel great in the moment. I had a fun childhood. My mom was a little bit more outgoing and, let's go camping, let's go gardening, have some fun in the dirt, and my dad is a little bit more, reserved. He's like, okay, let's go out to dinner, let's go to the opera, go to musicals. I like musicals as a child. So we went to a lot of those and so I kind of had two very different lifestyles growing up. So I got to experience kind of two different ways of life. And so that was really fun. And we went, my mom, she took us to, festivals, and, we would go to cheese days in Wisconsin because I grew up in Wisconsin. So in different places I grew up, but it was just really fun to have that, really homey kind of, and she was a single mom. She did a lot. Um, she did a lot of different jobs, growing up to help keep us, just up and in school and everything. And I don't really have too many memories. If someone were to say, "Oh yeah, I remember this," I'll either say, "Yeah, I kind of remember that," or have no memory at all. So for me, going through school was very difficult. So every time I would have a seizure, I would lose a half an hour of memory in childhood and school. So, within 20 minutes, I might have 2 or 3 small seizures, and then you've got an hour to an hour and a half of memory loss, and how far back was that? So the fact that I was able to actually get through school was kind of a miracle, especially in elementary school. And at one point, the doctors told my mother that I was at a toxic level of medication. And my mother's like, and they're like, and it was funny because the doctor's like, "Yeah, she's at a toxic level of medication. I think we're just going to bring her down." My mom's like, excuse me? You're acting like this is okay." And so she's like, "Yeah, we're going to go try this route instead." So we went the alternative route, and that's when we got into more of like supplements and acupuncture, advanced biofeedback, things like that. And, you know, I never really fit in. It was it was a little bit difficult for me in school. I always tried to fit in. I always tried to, be with the popular kids or whatnot. But there came a point where I was like, okay, I'm obviously not going to fit in with them. They all think I'm weird. They all think I'm crazy because the medication kind of also made me a little bit loopy. So I was never, a lot of people, like, they say, "Oh, that's where you develop yourself and your personality and who you are when you're a child." I never got that opportunity because of the seizures, because of all the medication. I was just always in la la land. Okay. I was always watching movies, always on the TV. Like I didn't have that kind of experience as a child that a normal person has, which I think was really difficult, So like the process I'm going through now is, I've been able to lately figure out more of my personality, know that I like being different. I like being, unique and independent and exquisite. And as a child, I didn't like that at all. It was very uncomfortable for me because the seizures already made me weird, and so that was, kind of difficult. And I was one of those rare cases as well that no one knew what was causing the seizures. There was no brain trauma, no brain injuries, nothing like that. Later, we figured out it might be heavy metals, because when I was having MRIs as a child, there were like dark spots in the left temporal lobe. And someone we spoke to, an alternative practitioner, he said, "Yeah, that's been seen on a lot of children who have seizures or have, autism or different things. When they have dark spots like that, it's either lead or just different heavy metals." So that was something that, was looked at as well. So back to the childhood, it was a miracle I got through school. I had, help from kind of an alternative, I think it was called Huntington Learning Center. And they helped me with homework to do math. I had to like count dots on numbers just to remember. It was challenging. I had an easier time kind of in middle school and high school a little bit. I got a little bit easier. I had some rare, experiences as a child as well, where I had like shingles when I was a child, which is not very common. I've always had a very sensitive nervous system, as well as digestive system. I mean, as a baby, a lot of babies unfortunately have jaundice, but I had jaundice as a baby. I had a lot of digestive issues as well growing up. They got worse as I got older. So for me, I I kind of have like a list. I mean, I have a lot of issues that I've dealt with digestively. Like I found out I had gastroparesis, rectal prolapse. I actually have a redundant colon, which is just it's a longer colon than normal, and it has kind of a lot of twists and turns, and just so having a child would be difficult. So I would need to have that actually repaired before having children. But when I went to have colonoscopy, they were like, oh, you're fine. There's no problems, but it's just longer than it's supposed to be. And I'm like, okay, then why am I having problems going to the bathroom? So I've had, IBS, SIBO, high cholesterol, fatty liver, the gastroparesis, the epilepsy, vagus nerve issues. I've also, I occasionally had hemorrhoids at one point, rectal prolapse, which was pretty intense, but it's, it was a challenge growing up. I never understood kind of what was happening. I had some, I think, pelvic tilt issues and whatnot, but there was a point in my I don't want to say childhood, it was more like later teenage 20 years, but from, I think it was 2009 to 2017, that I actually did not have any seizures. We thought that I grew out of them. We thought that the seizures went away completely, but they didn't. Later on, we kind of came to our own conclusion, our own theory, that my theory is that when I took birth control pills, because I started them in 2007, so when I started the birth control pills, it took 2 years for them to really kind of adjust the body. And then that's when, in 2009, that's when the seizure stopped. And then it was, basically to 2017 is when they started again. But I took myself off birth control pills once again in 2015. So it took 2 years to then kind of cleanse myself from the pills. So epilepsy is a very hormonal disease, as anyone that's familiar with it kind of knows. It can be very much, especially in women, it can very much be linked to, they, especially as children, they tend to get worse when the period comes. So I haven't gone back on birth control pills because I know they're not, the healthiest or the best, and I never really got a feeling to go back on them. And I do want children, someday. So I want to make sure all that's out of my system, before I have kids. And so there was a time when I didn't have seizures. And when I met Jace, my true love, he is the most amazing man. And when I met him, I didn't have the seizures. So basically 2 years into our relationships, the seizures started up again. And that was when I did a cleanse for basically clearing heavy metals out of my system. And I was taking fulvic zeolite, and it must have been too much for my body, because I just started vomiting and getting sick, and then passed out and started seizing. Basically like what happened during the first seizure I ever had. So they took me to the ER, and we were all really shocked because we thought that the epilepsy was gone. And from that point, they started to happen during the night only. And then once we moved to the mainland, because this was when we were in Hawaii. So I lived in Hawaii from basically about 2014 to, I think it was 2019 when we moved here to the mainland. We went to Missouri. Now I'm in Colorado. Now we're in Colorado. But we went, and when we came to the mainland, it started happening during the day, kind of more so. So luckily, he works from home now. And it was kind of interesting. The universe works in strange ways. So when he was working not at home, they were only at night. Now that he was working from home, they started happening during the day and night. So he never turns off. He's always on guard. And I would like him to be able to have moments of rest and relaxation. I know that once the seizures are gone, he'll be able to do that. But until then, he's really on guard. He never gets any sleep. He's always exhausted. And it's really hard for me to see him do that. So I have been doing everything in my power to help with the seizures. I have done diet after diet. I have done supplements, CBD, non-THC, THC version. THC version was actually very funny. I had some very funny experiences with that. We'll just say seeing castles in the sky on the clouds, things like that. playing piano in the air, listening to a piano song. Yeah, it was pretty funny. But that, that's kind of, and I've had a lot of different experiences. I've dealt with, not just the digestive issues, but also anxiety, depression, PTSD. I had some bad experiences when I tried to go to college, which then prevented me. So I don't have a college degree, unfortunately, which it would be nice to, be able to study, some other things, I really do like, topics, like psychology. I love the subconscious, the mind, quantum physics. I like a lot of different things like that. I know, that, the things that people don't think are possible to become possible. I like, those kinds of things as well. And, DNA. So kind of that kind of field. I really enjoy those things. I will also state too, I have done a lot of things to really try and help myself. Some things worked for a little bit, but unfortunately what happened is because so many of, my organs and so many different parts of my body, they all need different things. And the tricky part is that, like, what this organ needs, this one doesn't. But what this one needs, this one doesn't. So, or what this one likes, this one doesn't, so it's been very tricky sometimes because, like, certain supplements I might need for my brain might cause constipation or vice versa. And so it gets really, really tricky. And so I haven't, I've worked with some people, but mostly I try to do it myself because, also finances. I haven't worked in, I don't know how long. I mean, I when I didn't have seizures, I did have some jobs and I was able to work and I was able to drive. But since the seizures came back, I haven't been able to drive. I don't typically work because sometimes, if I'm having a seizure or something, or if I'm going into one and I'm on a, video chat, or if I'm doing something, it's been hard for, like, employers to understand that, so it's been nice that Jace's employers have been very compassionate and very understanding with what's going on. Luckily, since I have been working with QHS, the seizures have been happening more at night again and not so much in the day. And I have been able to actually help myself stop some grand mals, which has been really nice too. So that's been, like, thumbs up, really great. I've also been doing a lot of inner work with myself as well, with my mind, and with really, really working with myself. So, mindset is everything as well. So stopping the victimization, and sometimes it is a little hard, especially when you're not feeling very good. But really working on really loving myself and really embracing my power and really just coming into my own, like I said prior, I didn't have a lot of experience as a child with being able to find out what I like and what I don't like, and so because I've always been very sensitive to other people, a lot of things that I thought I liked were things that someone else liked, or other people liked. So, I didn't have a lot of the boundaries, set before. Now I do. So now I'm like, oh, okay, I enjoy, these topics. I enjoy the subconscious. I enjoy studying, the mind and, what's possible and things like that. So I enjoy doing that. And I'm excited to, in fact, be healed and to be, healed from head to toe. And, just a little quick thing. So, I mean, my toes are pretty good. I did have some fungus before, so I would kind of like them kind of just just rebuilt a little bit, nicer. And then, my legs have been pretty good. I've had a little bit of cellulite since I've got older, so I would like that cleared. Obviously, my pelvis, restructured. I've had a little scoliosis as well, having that restructured. Having also, the colon reset perfectly as it's supposed to be, so not as long, and really just clearing out this, the small intestine as well, just making sure everything's good with that. That could be longer than what it's supposed to be. I don't know. But also, just really having a healthier liver, and also getting rid of the gastroparesis, having a healthier stomach, healing my whole nervous system. That's probably my biggest thing, because there's issues with the vagus nerve, as well as just, it's so all over the place sometimes. So that can be a lot. And, and one of the other things I did use to help with was IV nutrition, which did help a lot in certain things for a long time. So that's a good thing as well. But I'm really looking forward to just being able to live again. And, I thought about this, they're like, oh, what are you looking forward to of the QArc? And this might sound funny, but the biggest thing is freedom. And, and I think a lot of people can understand this, with having any kind of illness or, hindrance, there's a freedom that you feel is kind of taken away from you. And I think that's my biggest thing. Like, I want to be able to drive again. I want to be able to shower without having to have a chaperone, my boyfriend having to be in the bathroom just in case I go into a seizure in the shower, because that's happened a lot. I want to be able to go around the block, with my dog, Oofy, and be able to, just go on a walk with him, by myself, where it's like, I'm happy to have someone else on the walk, but just having that freedom and the choice to be able to do it by myself, that's a huge thing. Be able to go swimming. I'm so excited to be able to eat food, because, these days, basically, I do my best to eat as healthy as possible, but, there have still been issues. It's kind of been an up and down, for me. And I'm looking so forward. We're waiting, actually, Jason and I are waiting until after the QArc to get married, because he wants to be in the best shape of his life. I want to be in the best shape of his life. He wants me to be seizure free. I want me to be seizure free. And we want to be able to enjoy the wedding without me having any kind of digestive issues. We want to be able to, like, go have fun after the wedding. And, we want to be able to go and, have our kids go on a honeymoon. We want to actually, really be able to enjoy life. And so we're waiting for that. We're waiting to have kids until after the QArc as well. And just, it's, I have little scars and stuff on my body, the finger that I cut off accidentally that I would like to, the little piece that I'd like to have repaired, and I've got scars and stuff that I'd love to be repaired, but it's mostly about the freedom, and about really just being able to live freely and independently and responsibly from my own essence and my own pure, soul, and just being able to live and experience without those hindrances. I mean, I'm grateful for the experience. That was great, to have the experience of, the sensitive nervous system to the point of, going into a seizure anytime. It's great to have any kind of experience, okay? But I'm done. I'm totally done with it, and I'm ready for it to be completely gone and just live the life that I know that I was supposed to live, that I know that I'm meant to live. Because I really want to help humanity. I would love to, it'd be great to have, help with one of the healing stations or whatever you guys call them. But I really want to make my mark on the world by helping people. And one of my biggest things is I want to help the world for the betterment of all mankind, for all humanity, for all existence, help them evolve and really just do what needs to be done to bring this globe, to bring humanity to the higher level of where it needs to be, of where they're meant to be. And I know that with the QArc, with QHS, I know that's possible. So that's one of the reasons that I just love QHS so much. I mean, I have 3 devices on me right now. I have 3 V6s. I have 2 of my own and 1 of my mom's, which has been helping me. I will say that the small seizures have been less. I mean, I know it's not ideal, but it has helped from, lessening some of the grand mals and the small seizures. So I'm very excited for the V9. I'm very excited for the QArc and for what's to come. I'm just so elated and can't wait to be more a part of this. So thank you.
Join us on the Prequel, where every story matters and every voice is heard. Because here at QHS, we're all about healing, learning, and growing together.